Okay, so we all know there's tons of stuff out there promising like miracle cures for everything, right? But what if I told you there's this like super simple thing backed by science, and it's literally just changing how you eat your food, like the order you eat things in? We're going to do a deep dive today and look at all the research on this stuff from like 2015, 2016, 2018. And get this, these studies, they looked at people with and without diabetes and found this crazy thing, like a 73% drop in those blood sugar spikes just from messing with the order of your food. It's wild. We're going to break it all down, like why it works, how it works, and most importantly, how you can use it yourself. Now I know what you're thinking, healthy eating. We've heard it all before. And yeah, you're right. But the thing is, even if you're eating healthy, most people still get those annoying glucose spikes after meals. And those spikes, they can cause way more trouble than you think.
Yeah, it's not just about feeling a little tired after you eat.
Yeah.
These up and down glucose things are linked to a bunch of issues. Insulin resistance, which is like a gateway to type 2 diabetes, heart disease, even some cancers. And that's not all. They can make you crave junk food, throw your hormones out of whack, and even mess with your skin.
So how do we like minimize these spikes and get all the benefits of stable blood sugar? The research points to one surprisingly easy fix. Eat your food in a specific order. Veggies first, then protein and fats, and finally carbs.
Think of it like this. Your stomach is a sink with a drain that goes to your intestines. When you eat fiber-rich veggies first, that fiber makes like a mesh in your stomach. This slows down the carbs from going into your blood. It's like putting a filter on that drain to control how fast the sugar goes through.
So it's not just about slowing things down. Protein and fat, they have a role too, right?
Right on. Eating protein and fats after your veggies helps control the digestion even more. Plus, they signal to your body that you're full, so you're less likely to overeat or get those energy crashes.
I was super skeptical at first, so I had to try it myself. I used my glucose monitor and ate a simple meal. Rice, tofu, broccoli.
What happened? Did it work?
So when I ate rice first, then tofu and broccoli, my glucose went way up. But when I flipped it broccoli first, then tofu, rice, last time, the spike was tiny. It was crazy to see the difference just from the order. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, wait, what exactly counts as a veggie? Or a protein? Or a carb? And you know what? That's a great question. There's so many different kinds of foods within those groups. It can be confusing. But don't worry, we're going to break it down for you so you know exactly which foods belong where in this little food order act.
There's some great resources out there that can help.
Yeah.
The Glucose Goddess has this awesome list that categorizes foods based on how they affect your blood sugar. We'll get into the details later, but for now, just remember, those high-fiber veggies are your best friend. Think broccoli, asparagus, leafy greens. Those guys are the rock stars for keeping your blood sugar happy.
And here's where it gets really interesting. This way of eating, it not only helps your blood sugar, it also messes with your hunger hormones.
Oh yeah, big time. There's this hormone called ghrelin. It's the hunger hormone, tells your brain when it's time to eat. Eating those veggies first keeps your ghrelin levels stable, so you feel fuller for longer. No more getting those crazy cravings in the afternoon.
So you're telling me I don't have to sit there with a timer waiting like 10 minutes between each food group. The studies actually found that just eating the groups one after another, no waiting, still gave amazing results. You know that 2016 study we talked about earlier? The results are unbelievable. People who did this food order thing, they got their blood sugar under control. A lot of them even reversed their type 2 diabetes. And it only took 8 weeks.
The cool thing is, even when people lost the same amount of weight without changing their food order, their diabetes didn't improve as much. It shows it's not just about what you eat, but also how you eat it. The order really does matter.
I know there's a ton of health advice out there. It can be overwhelming. Think of this food order thing as like a starting point. It's a small change. You don't have to change your whole diet or give up your favorite foods.
It's about getting how food and your body work together. Then, you can make choices that make you feel your best. That study showed people lowered their fasting glucose by a whopping 18 milligidale just by switching up their food order. It really shows how powerful lifestyle changes can be. You can take control of your health.
Okay, I know what some of you are thinking. What about meals where you can't separate the food? Like a casserole or a burrito bowl or stir fry?
That's where the veggie starter comes in. It's super clever and flexible.
A veggie starter, huh? Tell me more.
It's easy. You just start your meal with a serving of veggies. Anything works. A salad, some soup, roasted veggies, even a plate of olives. That first hit of fiber helps keep your blood sugar balanced throughout the whole meal. It works great whether you're at home or at a restaurant.
That makes so much sense. It's all about finding ways to get those high fiber heroes in there, even if you can't eat them totally separate. This whole thing made me think about those bread baskets you get at restaurants. We've all been there. You're starving, then they bring that basket of warm, delicious bread. It's hard to resist. But here's the thing, if you go for that bread first, before anything else, it's like you're setting yourself up for a blood sugar roller coaster.
I see where you're going with this.
Right. You get that spike, then you crash, and then bam, the cravings hit. And you know what happens next? The dessert menu shows up like magic. Maybe it's just marketing, but I wonder if there's a link between that bread-induced glucose spike and suddenly wanting all the dessert.
That's really interesting. It makes sense when you think about how our blood sugar going up and down affects what we want to eat and how we make decisions. It really makes you think, huh, like we just kind of eat without really thinking about it, not realizing how much those little choices can affect our energy, our hormones, and even like what we decide to eat next.
It's funny you mentioned that autopilot thing. I used to think digestion was like so simple. Food goes in, gets broken down, done. But the more I learn about it, the more I realize how much is going on behind the scenes.
Totally. It's not just a passive thing. Digestion is this whole complex process of chemical reactions, muscles contracting, hormone signaling, and the order we eat our food in. That can totally mess with how well it all works.
So let's talk about like the nitty-gritty of how this food order thing works. So we've talked about fiber and protein and fat, but I kind of want to know like what's actually happening in there.
One of the big things is how fast the food moves from your stomach to your small intestine. It's called gastric emptying. It's not just a free-for-all. Your stomach is like a holding tank. It controls how fast the food gets to the small intestine to be digested and absorbed.
Okay, so back to the sink analogy.
Yep. If you eat carbs first, it's like dumping sugar straight down the drain. It just goes right through, no filter. But if you have that fiber mesh from the veggies, it slows everything down. The sugar goes into your blood way slower and more evenly.
And the protein and fat we eat after the veggies, they help too, right?
Exactly. They take longer to digest, so they slow down the gastric emptying even more. That means the carbs get released into your blood super gradually. No crazy spikes or crashes.
It's amazing how this one simple change can have such a big effect on our bodies. It makes sense though, right? Our bodies evolved over millions of years to handle different kinds of food.
It's about respecting how our bodies work and working with them, not against them.
Now, I bet some people are wondering, do I have to like time everything, eat my veggies, wait 10 minutes, then protein, wait 10 minutes, and so on? Do we need to be that strict?
Oh, not at all. That's a total myth. You don't have to turn your meal into a science experiment. The studies actually tried different timings, and just eating the groups one after the other without any pauses still worked wonders.
So it's about the order, not about being a clock watcher.
Exactly. Get the idea and make it work for you however you like to eat.
And remember how we talked about the hunger hormones? Keeping those ghrelin levels in check means no more crazy cravings or energy slumps.
Yeah, it's wild how just the order you eat in can change your hormones and how you feel.
All right, let's tackle this question I get all the time. What about meals where you can't separate the food? Like a stew or a casserole where everything's all mixed up.
That's where the veggie starter strategy comes in handy. Super simple, super flexible.
Veggie starter, huh? I like it. Tell me more.
Basically, you just have a serving of veggies before your meal. Anything goes. Salad, soup, roasted veggies, even olives. That little bit of fiber first helps keep your blood sugar steady for the whole meal. Works at home, works at restaurants. It's a win-win.
I love how practical it is. You don't have to be a chef or change your whole life. Just make a few little tweaks and boom, big changes. This whole conversation has really changed how I think about meals. I used to think healthy eating was just about getting enough of each nutrient, protein, fiber, good fats, and all that.
It's easy to get caught up in all those details.
Totally. But this food order thing made me see it differently. It's not just about the nutrients themselves, it's about how they work together and how the order we eat them in changes how our body reacts.
It's like a puzzle, right?
Right.
All the pieces are important, but it's how you put them together that makes the whole picture.
And you know what else is a bit of a puzzle? Those bread baskets at restaurants. We talked about them before, but I kind of want to go deeper on that.
What's on your mind?
Okay, so I've noticed that when I cave and eat the bread before my meal, I'm never as satisfied with my food, and then I want dessert like crazy. It's almost like that bread spike sets off a chain reaction, messing with my cravings and my whole dining experience.
That makes a lot of sense, you know. When our blood sugar goes up and then crashes, It can trigger those cravings, making us want those quick sugary fixes, like our body's trying to make up for that lost energy.
Right, it's like a pendulum swinging back and forth. Those crazy ups and downs mess with our hormones, making it harder to control our appetite and make healthy choices.
Ex-
I've also noticed that when I skip the bread and go for my veggie starter instead, I feel way more balanced and in control during the whole meal. I can tell when I'm full, and I don't crave sweets as much.
That's the power of making those conscious choices, even when you're tempted. Knowing how your body reacts to different foods helps you navigate those situations with more awareness.
It's not about being miserable and depriving yourself. It's about being smart about when you eat certain things, like maybe saving the bread for after the main course when you've already had your veggies, protein, and good fats to help with the blood sugar.
That's it. Find what works for you, both physically and mentally. Enjoy your food and take care of your body at the same time.
Working with our bodies, not against them. It's crazy how even these little changes to how we eat can make such a big difference to how we feel. Makes you wonder what other cool stuff is out there just waiting for us to discover it.
Totally. We're always learning new things, right? There's always more to find out about how our bodies and the food we eat are connected.
Speaking of new things, let's go back to those study results for a minute. That 73% drop in glucose spikes. That's huge, and it really shows how powerful this is.
What's amazing is that people got those results just by changing the order of their food. They didn't have to eat less or cut out whole food groups. It's all about understanding those little details of how our bodies process different nutrients.
Like, we've found the secret code to hack our metabolism. And the best part, anyone can use it.
It's about knowing how things work and making choices that help our bodies do what they do best.
It's about taking charge of our health one bite at a time, and it goes way beyond just blood sugar. We're talking about preventing or even reversing type 2 diabetes, making our hearts healthier, improving brain function, and maybe even living longer.
It's a great reminder that even those small everyday choices can really add up and make a big difference to our health over time. It's about being proactive instead of reactive, focusing on staying healthy rather than fixing problems after they happen.
It's like investing in our health now to reap the benefits later on. And you know what I find really inspiring about all this? It challenges that whole idea that our genes control our destiny.
Oh, absolutely. Remember that 18 milli-GDL reduction in fasting glucose? That wasn't just a number. That was real people taking control of their health and changing their story.
It proves that we have more power over our health than we think. Sure, genes play a part, but the choices we make, like how we eat, can really shape how healthy we are.
We're not just stuck with whatever genes we got. We can actively create our healthiest, most vibrant selves.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of food order, I want to leave you with one last thought.
If something as simple as changing the order of our food can have such a huge impact on our health, what other amazing discoveries are still out there?
It's a reminder to keep being curious, keep exploring, keep questioning the usual way of thinking, and never underestimate the power of even the tiniest changes to our daily habits. So try this food order thing out for yourself, see how it makes you feel, share what you learn with others, and let's keep unlocking those secrets to a healthier, happier, and more empowered life.